What's up, guys? My name is Dance, and welcome to the Greenroom podcast, a podcast about all things music, centered on our Pacifica artists from all across the Motu, not only Aotearoa, but all across the Pacific, and wherever our people may be. We let them tell their stories, their journey, and where they're going to be. And up next, man, really honoured and privileged to not only have this artist, but who I can also call Mauso on the show to tell his story. He hails from Kipapa, Hawaii.
Let's go.
Man, he reps the 685, 684. And he's rapidly rising in our island reggae scene. He's been beaving for some of our royalty, and his own tracks are fire, man. So I urge you to recommend Wilderness. That's my favorite. Please listen to Mauso's jams. And Ur Brother's a good one too, so make sure you check them out. But yeah, we'd like to welcome Mauso, the one and only Mr. Johnny Sweet.
Let's go. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Mauso, I've been on the road with Maus for the past week, so I'm not gonna act like I haven't. This is the first time I've spoken to him. So yeah, man. But also, first time back in NZ since 2019. 2019. How's it been this time around? Also, everything you remember?
Man, everything is just as amazing as it was the first time, man. Yeah. Getting to work alongside you guys and also Christian at Elevation Studios and my very first One Love.
Yes, sir.
It was crazy.
Yeah. If you're at One Love and you didn't catch most of Johnny's set, then shame on you, man. It was all hype. It's probably one of the best sets you can see live. A lot of dancing. If you look up Simi Petelo, you can see him dancing as well for Johnny's set. So yeah, please make sure you check it out. But yeah, also first One Love, man. That was I know it's been a dream of yours too.
Yeah.
And to tick that off, how did that feel, Maus?
Man, it was quite the experience. And for being a kid in Hawaii, watching One Love on YouTube all these years, and to finally be a part of it, it was an honor. It was a privilege, and just the whole preparation leading up to it, I was treating it like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like we do every show, you know, whether it's 8 people, 8,000, 16,000, whatever, it doesn't matter. I was going to bring everything we can and do it justice and make them believe that they made the right choice by choosing me. And that's why you got to pick the right people to come around you.
Sure.
And so I was blessed to have you guys on stage with Muse.
Yeah, man. No, we were blessed and privileged to be up there with you, Maus. So thank you so much.
Sir.
And I guess it made it even special this time that you had Becca is Johnny's wife, so she came on. She's in the background too, so shout out to the sis to be there as well. That must have been a special moment too.
Oh, I need her.
Yeah.
I need her by my side every step of the way. I mean, the songs people love is written about her anyway, and so I need my wife alongside me. And I'm not just saying that so she can let me go out with you guys after this podcast.
Yeah, where we're going? nah, she can come.
But I need my wife by my side every step of the way.
And I guess it's cool because our connection's been so long that the last time you were here, you weren't married yet.
Yeah, we were just dating.
So I feel like we've been on that journey. I think Alcid more than any of us has been on that journey. With
he's been trying to stop the journey.
Yeah. So shout out to Sid.
Hasn't worked
yet.
Our
bass player in the back.
Keep trying.
And him and Becca are probably gonna have a fight before they leave. So I guess let's start at the beginning, Maus. Who is Johnny Sweet, or if you want to tell them your real name, then who are you? And
my real name is Elijah Feleti Fili Yuriko Langa Fuaina, and I am from Kipapa, Hawaii, Mililani, Hawaii. And I grew up singing just like a lot of us Polynesians in church in Whakasa, where my uncle was the faifeao, and my grandma and my cousins were all the choir directors. Where we're sitting on the ground, they're sitting on the chair with a stick in their hand. Every flat note, every sharp note,
sir.
You get sasa in your hand, and so that's why my hands look like this. Always flat.
It doesn't matter where in the world. If you're Samoan, it's the same experience.
Exactly. And so that's why we've kind of grown to have a decent ear for harmonies and. Growing up, I don't know what happened to you, but you could always have a
Don't tell me. Jerry's taught me my parts. So if I was wrong, it's Jerry's fault.
But that was my background growing up. I never thought in a million years I would be doing this professionally. Football was always my dream, and I got to play at a very high level. But I had cousins that entered the music industry at a very young age, like right out of high school. They went right into the MELE program, which is a massive music engineering and program. That's where they met Mr. Shant.
Yes.
And so my cousin Lapana Yuriko, he's behind a lot of my tracks like Beast Mode, Another Day, Mrs. Sweet, I Choose to Love, and then my cousin Clandon as well, who was a co-producer to Thank You to Mauso Bimwala, Wilderness, Old Brother. And so these guys have been in the industry for a very long time. After playing college ball and pursuing the NFL, I moved home and I was working security at the clubs, and they would be performing there. And they called me up on stage one time, and I remember I was in my security shirt singing Sweet Darling. And even though there was maybe 16 people there, felt like 16,000. And that was a feeling that I knew that I wanted to go after for the rest of my life. And that's kind of when things shifted.
Man, that's awesome, man. I guess, so your childhood, like the singing, that wasn't really in your plans at that age?
No, it's just, I mean, we sang because we had to. We had to go to church. You know, that was the rule, my grandparents' rules. But I never thought in a million years that it would be something that I'd be doing as a profession, something to put food on the table. And it's just so ironic, and it's very full circle that the songs that we would be singing at Konai, you know, we're singing our church songs, and then when Kongai comes and we're in the backyard of my uncle's house, we're singing Langa Savale. We're singing Fiji. We're singing Bug. Like maybe 3 years ago, when I started singing BBs for Bug, I came across a video of when I was in 8th or 7th grade, and I sang Love Season, playing ukulele and it's just crazy. It was so full circle to be traveling and singing BVs for Bug. So the same guys that are friends and pioneers are same guys that we grew up listening to and putting on our MySpace. And it's amazing. It's been a journey.
So that security moment, was that the catalyst for you going into music, or was there another moment after that where you were like, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, so I was working security, and then I remember there was a New Year's Eve show going into 2017, and I went to go check out Mr. Shant. And my cousins, Klein and Alpana, at the time, they were just backing musicians to another reggae band. I can't remember what their names were. But it was at this concert that I met Leslie Luriazo, who's Bimwala. He's the drummer for J Boog, for Fiji. I mean, if you look up all the old videos of Fiji and Boog, Langa on YouTube, on tour, you'll see this African man with a little blonde streak in his hair. And he's one of the first guys to ever give me a chance. And it's really because my cousin Pana told him, like, hey, my cousin, he's pursuing football right now, but if it doesn't work out, I think he has a future in music. And so it was in the preparation that I was actually preparing for the NFL Combine at home for 9 weeks that I got to sit down in the studio with Les and work on some music. And just, it was almost like I was doing it just in case. And then when the football thing didn't work out, I came home and they called me immediately when they found out I was home. And that's kind of how the journey started. So Leslie, who my cousin Lapana and Klein introduced me to, and JP Kennedy, who used to be a member of the Green. Those are two guys that really poured into me in the beginning of my career.
Man, that's awesome. So, because I can say now that you've pretty much sang, toured with all of these big artists now, like Boog, Fiji, all of that. And from a young age, to see that you didn't think that moment would come, man, it's awesome. And so, for those who don't know, like I said in the other podcast, Village 90 backed Johnny when he came in 2019. And we just met him through Fear. I'll let you explain how that tour came about. How did Fear break it to you to come to New Zealand with us?
Fear and I were on a concert together. I think it was Birthday Bash back in April of 2019. And this was a little bit after he was here on tour with Samuels and Samu. And Ants, big up to our brother Ants.
Shout out Ants and George. And
Ants and George Vinyata. And they came down to Hawaii to check out our show. And Phil wanted to introduce me to them. And Phil wanted Jordan and Ants to watch my set. So they came and watched my set. And it was after that Phil was like, Usa, I want to bring you on tour with me with these guys. And so big up Mo Sophia. He's someone who always thinks of me. If there's an opportunity for him to put me on, he always does it. I mean, till this day. And so he brought me to New Zealand, and then I met all the boys. Unfortunately, I met you. And then I met the rest of the boys. And then and we just clicked right away. You know what I mean? It was so fun. It's just like we're all the same guys, come from different parts of the world, but like we clicked right away. And it's just funny because the music thing is cool. But it's like the journey along the way has been the most fruitful part of it all. The relationships that we got to build, the connections that we got to build, and the memories we got to create on the road.
Man. So It's been a few years since then, and you've grown as an artist. All the boys can see. There've been some challenges during the news, and if there have been, you don't have to say what they are, but how have you overcome those? Like, how have you learned to push through those challenges?
Well, I am a Christian, firm believer. I'm not nowhere near perfect. I fall short of the glory of God every single day, but I'm a firm believer that it's with the guidance that God gives me, and honestly, the circle and the community that I have around me. Outside of the music industry, a lot of my best and greatest friends come from my church. And these are guys that when I first walked into the church, and these are the same guys that are coming up to you smiling like, hey, come join my Bible study. And in my mind, I'm like, get the hell away from me. You know, I didn't want to be anywhere near them, because in my mind, I'm like, man, if you only knew what I did, if you only knew the things that I've done before I stepped foot in this door, and I was dealing with a lot of shame and guilt, thinking that no one else has ever dealt with what I've dealt with. And it was when I did overcome that anxiety and like finally open up myself to these to these other young men, that I realized, like, wow, you'd be surprised that there's a lot of people who have dealt with the things that I've dealt with at the same time. And so being grounded and rooted and having that same type of community has helped me to overcome a lot of these things. And the thing I love about this community I have is they're not just people who are gonna like blow smoke. Like they're not guys that's just gonna, hey, everything's gonna be okay, buddy.
Don't touch me.
You're like, don't act like you're not gonna wash your pants ever again. No. But you know, those guys that they're not just gonna hold my hand and sing Kumbaya around the fire and sing Hallelujah. No, these are guys that are gonna sharpen me and check me whenever I act up. Because again, I ain't perfect, and these are guys who really hold me accountable. And these are dudes who have been alongside me in the journey of overcoming a lot of the challenges and the obstacles that even just come with being in the industry. They might not truly understand because they're not in it, but they don't really need to. All they really need to do is be a listening ear for me and be guys who's willing to intercede and stand in the gap and pray for me. And so that's been the biggest blessing that I've had to help me overcome these obstacles.
Yeah, and you've explained to the boys and you've touched on your past, and I don't need you to go into detail, but for like a young kid who is growing up and may be going through those same struggles, like if they happen to listen to this, as someone who's been through, because you've told me you've been through some stuff, man, and you've come out the other side. You've come out through, finding God, finding Jesus. So for a young kid going through that, what's some advice you'd give to them, like if they're growing in that way?
Well, the number one thing that when I take a step back and I reflect on all the things that I've been through in my life, and then all the wrong decisions that I've made, a lot of it had to do with wrong coping mechanisms. So when I was addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, when I was dealing with alcoholism, a lot of those things I was using to try and fill a void that was never meant for it. And it's like you go to sleep after a night of partying, and sometimes you don't even go to sleep. You know, it's like 5-7 days of you just raging because you're trying to fill a void or try and numb the pain. You wake up the next morning, it didn't go away. If anything, you made it worse because you might have done something stupid. And so I think if I was at that age and I had someone really walk alongside me and tell me that there's a better way to cope with these things, or if I was at that age and I had someone tell me like, hey, this is who Jesus really is. This is who God really is, and what he can do for you. And this is what a community of God-fearing people can do for you. Because at the time, I just didn't know those things. And so that's why I found myself trying to fill a void that was really only meant for Jesus. And like, again, I'm not trying to be like this Christianese, like, speaking all these cliches. This is just a life that I truly have lived, where I've tried to fill it with alcohol, with drugs, with women, all these things that never, ever lasted. You wake up the next morning and you think that it's going to go away, and it doesn't, and you make it much more worse. And so if there's anything I could tell these younger, whether it's artists, musicians, or just kids who have gone through the things that I've gone through, is truly, if you just know who you are, it becomes, I wouldn't say easier, but you are much more capable of enduring the things that gets thrown your way when you know who you are. Because when you don't know who you are, that's when you find yourself dabbling in things that were never meant for you in the first place.
And how important are your support systems? And I guess I got to touch on Becca being here. How important is she to your journey, your music journey, and keeping you grounded?
Why are you trying to make me cry, Daniel?
No, I'm just, she's my favorite.
Oh, gosh. Man.
And then I'll ask about how Sid keeps you grounded.
So my wife and I have been best friends since 2017.
Yes.
I met her at a good friend's wedding. And I remember I was singing at the wedding, and I had cornrows at the time.
Wow. On your back or head? The head. Okay, it must be the head.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop. I was trying to. But I had cornrows, and I remember I was at the dessert table because I heard they had low fat, low sugar stuff over there.
Oh, yeah, all of it.
And so I went to the dessert table and I saw her there, and she was like, "Do I know you from somewhere?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, but if you want to know me, you can know." You know what I'm talking about? But I sang. I seen her leave the wedding, and so I didn't get to like circle back and close that conversation. So I found her on Instagram,
Whoa.
and I messaged her, and then I was like, "Oh, did you find out where you knew me from?" Yeah, the Riz game was not there at the time, okay? And so she was like, "No, I don't." Blah, blah, blah. Turns out we had mutual friends, so we started hanging out a little bit. And then I would see her always post acai bowls, which is like a bowl of yogurt, granola, all those things. And she'd post that every single day after she gets out of class, because she was in college at the time, not in high school. That would be weird. But she was in college, and she'd get these. You gotta clarify.
Yeah.
You gotta clarify.
No diddy.
No diddy.
Sorry, no diddy here.
Absolutely no diddy.
No diddy.
So she's in college. She's eating these acai bowls every single day.
And you're watching.
So
because you see the city every day. How do you know she did this? Sorry, anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah. I was watching.
Yeah.
So I seen it, and then finally, like after like the 5th day, I messaged her and I said, "Oh, you really love acai bowls, huh?" Gang recognize gang, baby. And she was like, yeah. And so finally I was like, "Oh, we should get an acai bowl one day." And she was like, "No, I'm good." So after that, we became close friends. Yeah. And so just to answer your question, what does she mean to me? It was in that season that my wife, who she's a pastor's daughter, but she didn't have a perfect life either up until her journey with God. Yeah. She was partying. She was at the clubs with me and my friends, so we was partying and all those things. But she ended up giving her life completely and fully surrendering her life to Jesus. And the transformation was so crazy. It was fast, but it was fruitful. Yeah. And so every time, like she stopped hanging with all our friends, and our friends got salty, so they kicked her out the group chat. Oh. But I'm like, "Oh, that's whatever." So I started texting her on the side, like, "Are you good?" Da, da, da. And I had no, like, I was not even trying to hit at her or get at her anymore. And so every, like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, I'd be driving home at 4:30 a.m.
Acai bowls.
From Honolulu, acai bowls. And so I'd be driving home from the club, and it's like 4:30, and I'd be on the phone with her because I'm driving under the influence. Okay. But she would stay on the phone with me so I don't crash. And so one day, this would go on for weeks and months. Then finally it was like going into a Sunday morning. She's getting ready for church, and I'm driving home. And she's like, "You know what? I'm getting kind of tired of keeping you up at the." She's like, "If you want me to continue this, I want you to come to church today." Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, whatever." So it was like 4:30. So I started doing the math. I was like, "What time is service?" She's like 10. I was like, "Okay, I'll go home, take a little nap." So I went home, took a nap, showered, and I went to church that day. Yeah. And that was the greatest decision I probably could have ever made. But it's her influence that she had. Yeah. It's like, I seen what God can do in her life. Yeah. And I didn't know exactly what I was looking for at the time, but something inside of me told me that I needed to change. Because it was at that time that I was selling drugs, doing drugs. Yeah. I was an alcoholic. I was dead broke. And I was actually in the music industry at the time. But I was moving forward with this gift, just purposeless. I didn't know what my calling was, didn't know what my purpose was. All I knew is I have this gift, but I had no vision for my life. Yeah. And it wasn't until I even surrendered this gift to God that God really downloaded, "Hey, this gift doesn't belong to you. I've entrusted it to you. Now I want to see what you're going to do with it." And all of those things would have never came to me if my wife, who was just a friend at the time, didn't kind of give me an ultimatum to go to church. And to me, that's those types of friendships that are really going to set you up for life.
And I know you've written a lot of songs since then, and a lot of them, Beck has been inspiration, is that safe to say? For a lot
majority of them, yeah.
And if you haven't listened to Mauso's songs, Mauso's pen game is sicky. Like, he can write some amazing songs. And I think one of my favorites is God Gave Me You. And God Gave Me You is about Beck, I'm assuming.
That is a cover.
and he wrote that about Becca.
Yes. So I called Blake
he
Shelton.
knew Becca before you knew Becca.
I called Blake Shelton, and I was like, howdy, bro. Howdy. Would you write this about my fucking...
Blake Shelton sucks. All right, that's Johnny's songs now. Okay?
Yeah, no,
if you
so-
do the song better than the cover, I'll do the tours.
I told him to run it straight, but he didn't want to.
He didn't want to.
Yeah,
because he didn't make the NFL.
Yep.
So he couldn't. If you don't know, me and Mo also go back and forth.
We do.
It's been fourth lately,
We do.
so this
I don't
is
know
my
what's
give
more
back.
flat, his singing or his ass. But anyway,
All right, let's backtrack a bit. So you were talking about that past you had, and for a lot of us, when we think about Hawaii, we think holiday, like destination, like a nice place to go.
Yeah.
But obviously, you have grown up there, and so how was that? Kipapa? Kipapa's
Yeah,
where
I'm
you
from
grew up?
Kipapa,
So how has that influenced your music? Like, and explain to us the area because a lot of us don't know.
yeah.
So what's it like there?
So I know Fia talked about where he's from. I'm nowhere near from an area like that.
Okay.
Like when people talk about Mililani, you talk about a safe place to live.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But you tell like if you jaywalk, then you gangsta over there.
Okay.
So I was real gangsta
So you were in
up
there.
in these streets. Yeah. No, but every place has its town or area where it is a little bit more on the, you could say like lower economic
socioeconomic,
background.
yeah.
So where I'm from in Mililani, Kipapa, it was low income public housing, and so there was drug dealers around there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff going on in the streets, but you would never think about that coming where I'm coming from. And that's the type of background I come from. I come from family who were drug addicts, drug dealers, and I come from my mom and my dad who fell victim to drugs and who ended up, they lost me and my siblings to Child Protective Services, went into the foster care system. I slept in dugouts. I slept in, we're houseless for a little while.
Yeah.
So you would never think that where I come from, that those are the types of things you deal with. But that's what I dealt with growing up. And so I think, how does that like take into account when it comes to my music?
Yeah.
I always want to be real with the messages that I'm writing about. Because again, as I shared earlier, like it's when I surrendered my gift to God that God downloaded to me that the gift doesn't belong to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, before I gave my life to God, I wanted to write about girls. I wanted to write about drugs. I wanted to write about the pakalolo. All those things that most reggae artists write about.
Yeah.
But my purpose really shaped and shifted the messages that I wanted to write about. And I always surrender my pen to God. Like, God, what do you want me to write about today? And so that started to shift in the words that I'm writing now, where now I want to share real messages. What can somebody listen to that's gonna help them? You know what I mean? You can write, meet me at the club Friday night, shake the booty, whatever. I don't know, or you can write about some real stuff that people's hearing on the radio. They're crying in their car because they're dealing with something very similar, and then they're messaging me on Instagram. Those are some of the most like just fruitful and best feelings I ever received is when someone would message me, someone I've never met in my life, or I could be at Starbucks. Or I could be at a concert and I'm getting off stage and a fan comes up to me and says, you have no idea how much Wilderness has helped me. You have no idea how much Thank You has helped me really shift my heart to have a more grateful attitude towards life. And it's those types of things that are the most rewarding. Like, I don't care about the money, the likes, the fame, all that stuff. If it comes, cool. I don't care. But at the end of the day, if I can write things that actually matter, that's going to make a difference in this world. I know it sounds cliche, but no, that's what I want to do. I want people to be delivered from whatever it is. I want people to know that just because I'm on a stage and there's 13,000 of you who have paid $25 each to watch me sing, I've gone through the same things that you've been through, and there is an answer to your problem, and that there's a way that you can get through it and endure those problems.
Now, recently you've been touring with some of the biggest artists in the reggae game. Did you ever see yourself doing those things, like going on American tours, coming to New Zealand and that? Was that never... Well, I guess you did explain that. So how was it being on those?
It's bad. I still got to pinch myself sometimes. Like, I grew up covering Boog. Like, I did talent shows with Love Season, with Until One Day. And so, like, when we're singing those songs and I see Boog right then and there, I trip, bro. I gotta pinch myself, and to say like, oh, that's Pauso, or even Feej. Like this, we're talking about the greatest of all time.
Yeah, definitely.
The greatest of all time, the GOAT. When I got to travel the world with him, like it might seem a little moimimi of me, but sometimes I would still like take a picture and like send it to my cousins, like, dog, this is who we listened. This is who we would harmonize.
Still your hero, eh?
Yeah,
Even
like we would harmonize to his songs at Konga'i on the stairs at my uncle's house. And then I'll tell him, oh, by the way, our harmonies were wrong. But anyway, at least we got it right now.
Yeah.
But he's like, it was just, it was a dream come true. It still is. Like, even now to where I'm at today. Like when I get to be backstage or jump on with Feej last night at the end of One Love, like, that's crazy. It's just absolutely nuts to me that this is what we get to do for a living.
I think one thing I want to touch on that whoever's listening can really take a lot of is that, and I know, aside from the jokes, you are humble also, but your commitment to improving yourself is amazing. Like I was explaining to the boys before, so Johnny came in 2019, came back for that tour, and that whole time, Johnny was just asking questions, you know, wanting to know what we were doing here, what's the theory behind this, and all of that stuff. He asked questions all the time. And now coming back this time, man, it's almost your second language, like the way you're explaining to us. And so I just want to ask you if you can talk about your work ethicals, because it's mean, like, and it's something people can learn from. What drives you when you're doing that?
I've always had a, I guess, a spirit of excellence, you could say, and it just comes from, I'll tell you, 2013 I was a sophomore in college, and 2012 I got into some trouble, so I had to sit out for a whole semester. I had a 1.6 GPA, which is very, very low, which means basically I failed every single class my freshman year. Damn. And so I had to sit out. Coming back into my sophomore year, one of my friends sent me this book, and this book was called Pound for Pound Principle. And it's this pastor back home in Hawaii who talks about the parable of the talents in the Bible, where it talks about a shepherd giving different amounts of talents to three people. So one got one got two, one got five. And so what that shepherd expected them to do was to be fruitful and multiply these talents. So when they came back, the person with 5 talents multiplied it, got 10. And so on and so forth, except the one with the 1 talent, he decided to bury it out of fear. And so in this book, it talks about doing the best with what you've been given. Not everybody has the same amount of talents, but what are you willing to do? What work are you willing to put in order to multiply these talents? And I've always seen myself as a 1, maybe 2 talent person when it comes to music, when it comes to singing. I'm not the greatest singer, still not, even though I do believe I've improved a lot. But I'm always looking for different ways to improve. And it just, this is the full circle crazy thing. This book, Pound for Pound Principle, you hear it in beast mode. I say pound for pound in the second verse. This is my father-in-law now.
Oh, really? Wow.
So I read,
that's so
read about this man.
That's his book, sorry.
That's his book.
Becca's dad's book?
Becca's dad.
Wow.
So I read about this man and his work ethic, and then now getting to serve under him at my church. Not only do you read the book and see it, but you see it like in real life. The man he is, he's always putting himself in circles of, first of all, he's a world-renowned, world-class speaker, preacher, pastor, and leader. Yet he's still always trying to find ways to improve in his craft, because he knows that he has thousands of people who want to hear what God has to say through him. Therefore, he's always trying to find ways to better himself. And it's not just as a pastor, but this dude is not this dude, but my father-in-law, this is my pastor, my spiritual father. He's always looking for ways to improve as a husband and as a father, which mean the most to him. You know, and I've gotten to see that as now he's my father. He's someone I call dad. And so that's why I've been able to implement this way of thinking and way of life and these principles of living into my career. And I do truly believe that's what's helped me a lot. And just being here on tour back in 2019, it really humbled me, because I'm like looking at my BVs, and in my mind, I'm like, these guys can sing circles around me. Like, so what am I gonna do to try and improve so that when people come to see me play or see me sing, that they're going to choose me rather than this other concert that's playing down 10 minutes down the street. So as soon as I got home from this tour, I started vocal lessons. I started reading books. I started watching YouTube videos on music theory. I learned what is 1, what is 3, what is 5. I called Langa. I call Fia. I'll always hit them up. Like, what do you think about this melody? What do you call this harmony? And now that's 2019. This is 2025.
Yeah.
I'm still in vocal lessons to this day.
Man.
Every Friday, 1 p.m. I'm still taking vocal lessons. Cost me $300 a month.
Damn.
But that's what I'm willing to do, to invest in my craft. Because there's somebody better.
Yeah.
There's someone far more talented than me. But I'm a firm believer that you're not willing to put more work in than me.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing too is that there's always time. Like I see a lot of us here, like straight after school, we went straight into studying music or went to learning that stuff. And I guess it's so easy for someone to look at that and go, oh, if I didn't do that route, then I can't, you know. But I guess you're the perfect definition of, like, you don't have to go that route to learn these things because you know them now.
Yeah.
Like 100% you know them. The difference in Johnny coming doing his BVs this year was crazy, like teaching us all the parts, teaching us all the voices, switching everything up. Whereas the last time, I think you knew, but you were just letting us do those BVs. So I think that's a testament to, like, do it in your own time, but as long as you do it.
Yeah.
Because you've done it most, like, and
Thank
it
you.
showed at One Love.
Yeah.
And it's shown because you've got these shows.
Yeah. I think there's a lie that, like, there comes a point where it's too late.
Yeah.
And it's never too late. It's never too late to turn it around. It's never too late to learn something new. And it's never too late to grow in your craft. I think that's an absolute
100%.
lie. I mean, when you think about these people who have been doing music for years and years and years, people who are mainstream artists, they have vocal coaches. They travel with them. They invest in it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. A lot of people they're afraid to invest in their self-improvement or in their craft.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, how willing are you to spend that extra money? Or if in your mind you're like, oh, I'm too broke, well, then stop eating out all the time.
Yes, sir.
Well, then stop spending money on alcohol all the time. Well, stop spending money on cigarettes. Stop spending money on weed. Stop spending money on 2 pairs of shoes every single night or every single weekend just so you can look fly and live a lie. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and this is the absolute truth. Some people are unwilling to make a shift in their lifestyle so that they can grow better in their craft. And I tell this to people all the time. They're always asking me, like, what can I do to get better? I was like, well, what are you willing to do to get better? Are you willing to stop going out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, dropping $150 so that you can invest in your craft and get vocal lessons?
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? It's just little things like that. Or how willing are you to pay for this gym membership so that you can live longer? It all correlates to one thing: is what are you willing to give up that's hindering you from being the best version of yourself?
Yes. And I guess now we see the results of, like, where you're at in your career. And I still think, like, you're still untapped here, Mouse. Like, people are still yet to properly listen to you. So once again, I urge you, please listen to Mauso's music, man, because it's amazing. And he's the next big thing coming up. He's been around for a bit in Hawaii, but in New Zealand, I need you to show more love to Mauso.
Let's go.
And on that point, what's next for you, man? What do you got upcoming?
So right now, it's just I'm on a mission to release music.
Yes.
I'm sitting on like 15 songs right now that I've just kind of been stacking up on.
Yeah.
And it just being here in New Zealand, me and Fia just got one song done.
Yeah.
And we plan on doing a lot more work together this year. I plan on working a lot with yous.
Yeah.
You know, and all my usos over here in New Zealand. I just think we're better together.
Yes, sir.
That makes sense. And so a lot more work to be done. One Love I feel like was a success.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
the thing is,
definitely.
I don't want to put all my eggs in the basket of the live performances, which I know we can do well and execute well.
Yeah.
Now it's time to put some good music out.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to be writing, creating, collaborating with all different types of artists. I think God will give me a message when I'm alone.
Yeah.
But I work really well when I'm working with others because I love to hear different perspectives, whether it's melodically, musically, notes, or even lyrics.
Yeah.
You know, I think I work a lot better. This song that we just did, me and Fia, it's a banger.
That was Kanan?
Come on.
Kanan.
Kanan.
Shout out to
Also
Kanan.
Kanan. And
Yeah.
so the thing is, I've been stuck in a season of what is it called when you cannot write music?
Writer's block.
Writer's block. And so I had like writer's block for a good amount of time, but it's just crazy. The second me and Fia got into the studio, it unlocked. And that's the thing. It might seem a little more spiritual than anything, but when you're around people who love you, when you're around other forms of iron, because iron sharpens iron. It's Proverbs 27:17. Look it up in the Bible. But as iron sharpens iron, a friend sharpens a friend. And it's crazy because immediately as soon as we got into the studio, I feel like the writer's block left. And that's because the Lord knew I was about to be in the studio with one of my brothers, who sharpens me, who loves me, who cares about me, and who's someone that is willing to like really sharpen me and make me better.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the most important thing is who can I be around this year that's gonna sharpen me and make me better.
And have you got any like dream collabs coming up?
Oh man,
that you can announce, or if you've.
Well, I mean, I haven't been approached yet of these collabs, but man, I've always dreamt of collaborating with Boog, you know, which it's not far fetched, you know. Caleb from the Green or anybody from the Green. I love Zion from the Green. That he's one of my favorite voices of all time in the island reggae industry. I would love to work with Sons of Zion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he's someone I want to work with. And me and Phil was just talking last night. We'd love to work with the Uso Wayno on some Samoan songs. Nice. Because, you know, we know he's been killing it in that avenue. Yeah. And that's something that we need to do because I'm feeling real plastic right now. I haven't released one Samoan song yet in my 7-year career. So.
Man. And how have you found, especially second time being around New Zealand, how have you found the music scene here compared to like Hawaii, where you grew up? Is it different, quite similar? Big difference. Yeah?
Yeah. So my friends in Hawaii probably going to want to kick my butt after I say this. But I don't care. They ain't going to tell me to my face. But I tell you what, there is just a different level of humility when it comes to you guys here in New Zealand, man. Not saying that there isn't humble musicians and artists in Hawaii. So if you butt hurt, then that's on you. But straight up, I came to these rehearsals, and this happened 2019. Yeah. You guys were prepared. You guys did your homework. You guys were intentional. You guys asked questions prior. Constant meetings on the phone. I mean, Los, who's the MD, and Nami, who have been like, Oos, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? There's just a certain level of intentionality that I love, because that's how I am. And not everybody's like me, straight up. And in the most humble way, when I come to your practice as a background vocalist, I have a folder, I have a binder with your lyrics in it, highlighted, color-coded. I'm going to sing the 3 here, singing the low 5th here, airiness here, power here. That's how intentional I am. Not everybody's like that back home. I do hope to raise that standard. You know, I think it's possible because there's a lot of talent there. But I think that it's just really... like, how can we bring this type of culture of excellence to Hawaii? That's what you guys have here, straight up. I'm honored, and that's why just saying, I don't want to rock with nobody else when I come out this way. Like, it's because now there's no BSing. We're not playing around trying to figure things out. We show up. You guys are prepared. You guys are ready to rock, ready to go. It's like, you know, you wouldn't want to put someone who's never took shooting training or has zero physical shape to war. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't want to bring them to war with you. So that's why I want to take guys who's soldiers, who's ready to go, who's ready to fight, ready to go to war. And that's what I get every time we come here. Every time.
I guess we really appreciate that too, but the reason we're like that is because of the level that you bring too. So we appreciate that you're pushing all of that love back on us, but because of who you are and your commitment too, we just want to meet that also. So man, thank you so much for trusting us. Like, a lot of people still haven't listened to much of your music over in New Zealand, which I definitely think should change. So if there's like your 3 tracks that you would want to tell people to listen to know who you are as an artist, what are those 3 that you want them to listen to?
It would most likely be Beast Mode. God Gave Me You and Thank You. It's probably songs that you could really get a glimpse of my heart and who I am as a person, as an artist. I mean, all the songs that I've released 2018 and on, it's just all been the messages that I believe God has put in my heart to create. So Wilderness, God Gave Me You, Thank You, and then Beast Mode is all songs that I think people are gonna really dig. And it's crazy because Thank You has been my biggest song for years, but I've been told that Beast Mode has grown tremendously out here. I've seen a lot of people who like go to the gym and work out out here, and they've been using it on their reels and stuff. So I just gotta create more Beast Modes, create more Thank Yous. You know, that's the vision for this year.
Awesome. And I think I'm gonna put Moso on the spot here, but I guess the boys appreciate you so much. So Johnny has looked after us. He's in our country, man. and Johnny and his wife Becca have looked after the band. They paid for a van for us when they didn't really have to. They put us up in a beautiful Airbnb when they didn't have to. And I guess that just speaks to the type of people that you guys are, not just you two, but Fia. And so I want to take this opportunity also just to thank you guys so much, man. So much uncertainty around when we're going to look after, but you guys just made sure that we were treated like family, bro.
Yeah, man.
And I wanted to make sure that was on tape, and the people know the kind of people that you and Becca are. Is all based around loving that. So thank you so much, Mos.
Yes, sir.
And thank you so much for jumping on this 100,000 listener podcast that we get pretty much every day.
Yes.
Yeah, and hopefully we get some more after this one.
Yes.
Or we don't lose any after your episode, but hopefully more. But last sort of rapid fire questions was your Mount Rushmore of your reggae artists. Who's your format?
Feej,
yep.
and that's not just because every island reggae artist has to say that. He's the GOAT. Langa Savia,
Yes, sir.
Kivini Vaitai, and Book.
Kivini.
Those are my top 4 guys.
Awesome.
Yep.
And since being in NZ, what's the favorite food you've eaten here that you haven't eaten in Hawaii or you can't get back there?
Well, I know that pies are a staple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
So
Fia ate them all, so you couldn't grab
But
any.
yeah, so every time I went, Fia already had 16 of them in his bag.
Yeah, so
And
that's
so, but he's skinny now, so he can eat however many pies he like. So he's just trying to help me out.
Yeah, nice.
But man, nothing can touch the Indian food out here.
Yeah.
From the butter chicken to the lamb korma.
Yes.
Our first night here, me and my wife smashed so much Indian food, and so that's probably my favorite thing to eat. When we
And Johnny
come
was
out
staying in Papatoetoe, so it makes sense. Shout out to everyone in Pep.
here. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Good Indian food, best Indian food out there.
Yeah, great Indian food.
And last question also, one song to listen to for the rest of your life. What is it? Village 90, You and Me?
Definitely
Yeah, good one.
not. No, yeah, I would love to add a fourth view to that song. But I think
Get this guy off this podcast, man.
if I had to listen to one song for the rest of my life, it would probably be Gratitude by Brandon Lake. It's a worship song. That is definitely anytime that I'm going through a tough season of my life, it just transforms my heart to have more of an attitude of gratitude. Yeah.
Sweet. Now, once again, also thank you so much for your time. Once again, your love and looking after us while you're in our country means heaps. Much love to you and Becca. Yeah, man. Appreciate you so much, Mos.
Love you, Mos.
Thank you. Once again, this is the Greenroom podcast, and shout out to Mos Johnny Sweet. Please look up his music. We'll tag all of their stuff in the socials and that. And yeah, man, show some love. And
Big up
get us some
Elevate
more views.
Studios,
Yes, sir.
baby. Let's go.
Yep, and that's us. Everyone go home.